Hayi Nkosi. Ndinibulele. Hayi. Andinibulalanga. Andinibulalanga niyaphila nje. I can't get the monitors here. Can I get monitors? Let's go. Yeah, thank you very much, fighters, CCT, PCT. First, let me give you a report. I just got a report from the places lapho ebesilele khona. They are saying indlela ebeniziphethe kahle ngayo ngathi bazanilalisa mahala. We are very proud of that because our enemies, they were snooping around there. Goba, you had a beautiful conference and you are still conducting yourselves like people who are ready to lead our people in here in Western Cape. So they couldn't find anything wrong la. Bahamba baya ema-hotel abayobheka ukuthi kukhona into wrong so that they can write bad about you. But nibahlulile abathakathi. So we are still continuing. We are still continuing. So what's going to happen now? As I said, that the president and the commander-in-chief, uyena ozosinikeza umkhombandlela. Ngoba uyena who's commanding these forces. Uyena who's commanding these forces from Cape Town to Musina. Uyena is commanding these forces from Cape to Cairo and in the diaspora. All the forces that are in a struggle for economic freedom in our lifetime. So the only commander-in-chief is coming, usekhona la in town. Now he went to observe in that hotel and was very hip with hayi. Sibahlulile abathakathi. So what's going to happen now is that we got our programs with you. The newly elected deputy chairperson is going to take over this session as per our program, where we're going to get the reports from the commissions. Uguti, what we're discussing on the commissions, what becomes a way forward that we're going to take back to branches and say, this is how we're going to move in the next 4 years. So we're going to request you to take notes because we're going to do commission after commission report. Once we are done, we're going to reflect on those commissions. So you must take notes on all commissions so that once we are done, you can raise and say, on this commission of finance, these are my additions. On commission on the elections, on the commissions on political education, commission on governance, and then in that format. So let's allow the deputy chair, the newly elected. So we want to see. I normally don't sing because I'm too talented. I don't want to tata my talent abanye abantu. Because once I start leading revolutionary songs, should call abantu abangenza uba nayo task. We must allow abanye abantu task yabo. So let's see if the deputy chair can lead us on a revolutionary song as he's taking us on this program. Thank you.
Manda. Viva the CIC, viva. Viva the CIC, viva. Viva SG, viva. Viva Commissar Gigi, viva. Maibuye. Ya Afrika. Thank you, SG, for this opportunity. It's the first time but there's no other way. We are in the revolution. Amanda! We also thank all the commissars that are led by Commissar Gigi. We thank all the PCT members that are led by Unatintame. Commissar, yes, yes. And we also thank all the regional leaders that are here in the midst. West, we won't forget the ground forces, the liberators of South Africa. Amanda! I'm here for the commissions. I will first start saying that you will look at the sequence by yourself. I will call one by one, and then you must know after that one is that one, after that one is that one. Yes. So, Yokala, election 2024, rapporteur ya young RS, media and communication, rapporteur ya young Andy Swa, finance and fundraising, rapporteur ya young PT, no sorry, who isifunda. Kubanika? Oh, ngusifunda, so no aya, organizing and mobilization. Ibing esona, kage noba ubetu indala, kaditi jam kangela geko, gelagi sa appointa uzinande. Zinande is going to be a reporter. Political education, Gumbu irapota mbundwane. Then governance, ibengusiya. So satikasibiza ke uzawuza xa igqibile kuhle uzilungiselele usondele. Sizawuqala ke singaphosisanga maseko sicela uRS aze ngaphambili. Wase metro uyayazi. Thank you.
Mandla, Kawetu, greetings to the SG, greetings to the CCT members, greetings to the newly elected PCT, led by Commissar Unathi Statundame, greetings to the RCT members that are here in the house, greetings to the BCTs, delegates and ground forces. Amandla, Kawetu, Isendim, and Gachinj. The Elections Commission sat and discussed on the three major pointers, and they read as follow as the resolutions. The first one is to convert all the structures into election structures. So the PCT to PETF, RCT to RETF, BCT to BETF, and then have VDETFs. All this work and the convention must be done, or the building of the structures must be done by March 2023. Second one, political education for that will be talking to elections. that will also be giving party agent training. This will be responsible by the PCT and the RCTs, and this must be concluded and done by April 2023. There must be an appointment of election managers. The election manager must be appointed at the provincial level, meaning that it must be run by the PCT, and all 6 regions must do appointment at the regional level. And these appointments must be done by December 2022. And then the next point, a campaign that has been motivated by the EFF-SC, where they have the Vota Mtomcha. The elections came with Vota Mhlali campaign. So the Vota Mhlali campaign is a campaign that will be done in every busy corner, post office, clinic, schools, where every Friday there will be registering of people within our communities. The people who will be responsible are the PETF, RETF, BETF, VDETF. Postering. A month before the elections, there must be a team that deals with the issues of postering. And the responsibility for this will be falling within the structures: PETF, RETF, BETF, VDETF. Each and every area or structure must have election material. The election material, gazebos, tables, tablecloths, and other election material. The responsibility falls to the following: the PETF, RETF, BETF, VDETF. And this of the material must be done, meaning that all the structures must make sure that they are there by January 2024. Structures of branches must be involved in community structures, meaning that in order for us to win the election or to improve the votes that we have, we must be part of the community structures that are there within our communities. So the people, the structure that is responsible is the BETF. And the timeline, or by when, it must be on day-to-day basis. ID awareness campaign, where in every area that they are struggling to have IDs, or there are people that don't have IDs, there must be an awareness or a program where Home Affairs is being invited, so that Home Affairs comes in and give assistance within these communities. So the people that will be involved with this process or this campaign called ID awareness is RETF and BETF. The campaign will be run on every Wednesday. So on every Wednesday, there will be an ID awareness. And the last one, we must be able to build stakeholder relationship with all the stakeholders that are around within our communities, taxi associations, business forums, development forums, and other stakeholders that are there. And the people who must do this is the PETF, RETF, and BETF, every day from January 2023. Thank you very much.
Manda. Yeah, ngoku but equation sizawuzenza xa sesigqibe yonke and then kulapho ke sizazi-adoptha but at this moment sizazibiza ngokulandelelana i-commission sizoreport. Sawucela ye-media and communication u-Andiso. Media and communication Andiso.
I think so. Greetings to the newly elected PCT members led by Commissar Unathi Statundame. Greetings to the CCT members in front of us. Greetings to the solid engine of the organization, Commissar Zizi. I also want to greet RCT and delegates of the Cape Metro, of the Western Cape. I'm sorry, guys. My name is Andy Samatikas, and I am going to be speaking on media and communication. Before speaking on what is to be done, we felt there was a need to first conceptualize what is communication, you know? So communication is generally a transmission of knowledge from one person to another. This can be in a form of verbal and non-verbal communication. However, in the context of politics, communication is known as a political communication where political parties transmit their political agenda or interests to their potential voters. Basically, it is how we communicate the message of the EFF to potential voters. That is how we promote our manifestos, our constitution, and our ideology to our potential voters. It's basically organizational building building the image of the organization, not just nationally but globally. One of the most strategic way of doing it is through the use of media. However, we also need to acknowledge the challenges that come with the commercialization of media, where big political parties that are running the affairs of the bourgeoisie. Sorry, guys, can I? I'm not ready, guys. Okay. So I can, okay, science, I've got this. It's fine. I've got this. Okay, I just like reading, that's the thing. It's fine, I'm summarize. Okay, one of the most strategic ways of building on an organization is through the use of media. We also must acknowledge that we have what we call the commercialization of the media, where the commercialization of the media, where big political parties that are running the affairs of the bourgeoisie have the money to buy broadcasting agencies, where they suppress small parties like ours, the EFF. But most importantly, we need to acknowledge the use of digital media and how we as the EFF have captured the media to actually generate our own propaganda. By propaganda, I mean using the media to persuade our agenda, to persuade ideologies, our manifestos, and the constitution of the EFF. It is no lie that we have captured the social media. We are the most political party with most followers in social media platforms such as Twitter. More than anything else, we need to first, research has told, can I just move these things? Research has told us that 80% of the youth are using social media to keep updated with what is happening in the status quo. They use social media to learn about politics. So I think more than anything else, we came to the realization that it's important to first to capture the media, to use social media to spread our manifestos, to use the social media to actually pursue our agenda, right? Having to look at that, we then had to zoom in the Western Cape social media state as per our organizational report yesterday. According to the organizational report, Twitter has about 17,200 followers, Facebook has about 28,000, Instagram has about 33 followers. They have opened the YouTube and they've created the YouTube, but they've never used they've never used the platform. So then the question is, what is to be done? How do we use social media to spread the word of the EFF? How do we use social media to build the image of the EFF? Because communication is about image building. Communication is about the transmission of knowledge. How do we communicate our manifesto to the potential voters? How do we make our people understand our own EFF? And the most valid and the most cost-effective way of doing it is through social media. So how then do we use social media to actually boost our image? How do we use social media to help us grow the organization? One of the resolution that we have taken is that we have resolved that the EFF Western Cape must create a TikTok account to transfer message to the youth in the form of short videos, emphasizing the importance of registering to vote, but also to use the platform to show the work that has been done by the organization. Not only that, the EFF must also start using the YouTube account that has not been used to promote the work of the organization. Most importantly, we need to work regardless to send the message to the potential voters. We need to target the youth. We need to target the youth through media space. Every member of the EFF should be on social media like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Every branch must have its own social media accounts to show what has been done on their branch and also promote branch leadership, including branch members, should also create social media platforms so that they can be able to share work that has been done by their branches. All social media accounts of branches, region, and possibly must have a time phrase when it comes to liking, retweeting, and social media. Not only must we use social media platform to promote the work on the ground, however, we must also use social media to promote organizational documents, voters' awareness for the purpose of political awareness and voters' education. We must also go back to the drawing board and use SMS to encourage voters to register to vote. It must be something that is done like fortnightly. You don't have to necessarily wait for election registration, election day to convince or to remind our people that they need to start registering to vote. Also, we must also invest in educative and engagement platform like webinars or social media live platform to interact with potential voters. We must also engage in continuous voters activation, start investing in social media paid advertisement to boost social media engagement. We should have dedicated bloggers writing work about the organization as well as monthly newsletters. Not only that, EFF Student Command should start using social media to promote what is being done by TVT colleges, because TVT colleges are themselves part of the EFF Student Command. We need to also promote access of motions of success. We need to also promote success of motions in legislatures and councils. Not only must we focus on the youth, but on public participation and invite elders to participate in public meetings where branch leaders will speak about the EFF. We should also use local radios and newspapers to spread the work of the EFF even to those who do not have access to social media platforms. Not only that, we need to start recording the history of the EFF through documentaries, because we only have ourselves to promote our work. We cannot rely on paid media, not only on social media, because they're still not owned by us. We cannot rely on media to promote us because they don't like us. We have it ourselves. We owe it ourselves to document our history books. We owe it ourselves to document that the work that we have been done, that has been done by the organization through documentaries. I think that's the blood of it.
Thank you, Anderson. Let us tweet, all of us. If today we can all tweet. No, man. Yeah, if all of us, we can tweet this meeting, you can see how many tweets that we can have. That is the part of communication that we can advise each other. Ngoku, number 3, finance and fundraising. Usifunda is that fight.
Greetings to the SG, the newly elected PCT of Western Cape, led by capable Statu, Commissar Umnatindame. Greetings to Commissar GG. My name is Ufondo Mahlangeni. I am the Deputy Secretary for Ward 89 here in the Cape Metro. I am here to report on Commission on Finance. In the Commission on Finance, having met and discussed how we can fund the organization, we resolved that the EFF in the Western Cape must be able to fund its own programs. The EFF in the Western Cape must be a viable vehicle to drive the program of decolonization through its self-funded programs. Fundraising events must be a regular feature in the Western Cape, where civil societies, organizations, NPOs, and religious fraternity will be given an opportunity to engage the EFF, an opportunity to engage the EFF leadership on its plans for province, as well as the business. As we reflect on in the last term, it was evident that not much regions have been visible with organizational work due to failure of elected treasurers not doing what they were supposed to do. And we all know, without funds, there are no or not much programs the organization can do. We must remember that programs are what keep many branches, regions active or in the ground. And without these programs, there is no visibility of the EFF on the ground. Fundraising is a very critical part in our upholding of the organization, and if treasurers do not know how to raise funds, it is obvious that they will depend on national at all times. all treasurers should undergo for at least once a year a session to know how to raise funds, where we invite even experts to advise on best ways to raise funds. We must raise our own funds without having to run to national for simple programs. And some of the fundraising ideas include building relationship with businesses and NGOs for funding and resources, but at the same time, also be critical with who you're building that relationship with, because for the sake of the organization and with the Political Party Funding Act, and more importantly, we should uphold the Party Political Funding Act. We must, as it states that political parties must declare simply fundraisers via gala dinners, sports events, concerts, competitions, flea markets, and other fundraising methods. The EFF in the Western Cape must establish its own seller and distribution of merchandise in the Western Cape, which will generate income to take care of the day-to-day running of the organization. There are many other ideas which include purchasing land, using it for a market space to generate income for small businesses, using it as a popular weekend trading spot for small businesses. I thank you.
Manda! Viva EFF, viva! Ya, siyawufuna umnotho. Ya, into benifuna icacisa ngoku into yoba ngaba siyacela ukuthi fighters must take note. We will not afford delegates send you here and you won't ask any question. You must prove yourself that you are sent by the branches. So I will allow, after we finish, I will allow questions. So take notes, fighters, in order for you to protect the revolution. Siagi organizing and mobilization. Nguzinande. Amanda.
Greetings, commissars and fighters and the House at large. I'm just going to do a feedback on the mobilization strategy and recruitment. I'm going to be very brief. We sat and we noticed that we have been encountering a couple of challenges with mobilization and recruitment since 2013. We, as the fighters, noticed that there is a rapidly slow growth for the organization. So we came up with a couple of resolutions. One being educating the youth. So it was highly suggested that we educate the youth. We in branches or branch leadership, if the branch leadership can visit their schools close to their communities and educate and have or build relationships with the schools in terms of engaging students from as young as grade 10, grade 11, grade 12 students, so that they can have a running and ongoing program, so that by the time when they reach the age of 18, then they are aware of registration and elections and the entire thing. It was also suggested that if we'd have pressure teams within the PCT, such as if there could be election task forces as from today that can go out and find out information and do some research and go back to the branches and conduct inductions for the branches so that the branch leadership can also know and be aware of the processes from, as from today. Not only must they be visible around election time, that they must be visible throughout so that they can have, or if they can have ongoing programs and contact with the branch leadership, then that would highly assist the branch leadership also to be aware of what they are supposed to do or their roles as the BCTs. And then also something that was also suggested was visibility. If we, as branch leadership, especially in communities where, in white areas, in terms of recruiting and mobilizing, if we can put up tables in busy corners there at the malls, and we have a continuous program there, not only show up maybe once, and then again in 6 months, and then again in 12 months. So if we can have like a consistency from the branch leadership, being assisted also by the PCT members. And then we also spoke about ward programs, which we have in the induction manual. Again, this part, or this one here, it was highly suggested that the PCT have an induction program to induct the branch leadership, because we have a lot of branch leaders not knowing what it is that they are supposed to do. Yes, we have the branch induction manuals and the documents of the EFF, but some of the branch leadership we do need assistance with in terms of training and teaching leaders what to do, or what it is that they are actually supposed to do, what role they are supposed to be playing in the communities. We also spoke about visiting radio stations. If we have radio stations in our communities, the branch leadership can go to the radio stations and speak to the youth and have again, consistency there that can attract the young people to join the organization. It was also stated that if we also familiarize ourselves as the branch leadership with the statistics of our wards, if we know how many people are voters there, then we'll know how many people are not voters there, so we can easily assist these people. I think that is about it. Thank you so much.
Akuyiwe kuyomobilizer. Makuyiwe. No, what we can say now is that you are delegates, you are also branch leaders. So go and do this process. Be a community activist. The most important thing is to be a community activist. If you are that, it is easy to communicate and address the problem and even assist the community. When you do that, you'll be visible and you'll be well known in the community. Then at least we won't have, again, 2 votes. Thank you. Let's go to the political education. Mbundwane. Amanda. Dwane.
Revolutionary greetings, comrades, to everyone. Greetings to the entire CCT, led by the Office of the SG, to the newly elected PCT, led by Unati from Tofimvaba, Ndame. the Cofimvaba Cabal. Greetings to the entire Western Cape, EFF, 3rd Provincial People's Assembly's delegates. My name is Mbulelo Dwane, not Mbulelo Ndwane. Dwane. I am from Ward 18, Cape Metro region. I am the reporter of the Paul Ed Commission. The chair of it was Kagiso Regional Temba. The scribe was Umila Ugaba Uzibi. Well, we sat and we discussed, resolved on a couple of issues. Our Commissar GG guided us that we should at least list between 5 to 10 points. We have managed to list about 7 points that we think the new PCT or the new office of the Paul Ed in the PCT collective should, as a matter of urgency, within a space of 2 years, not limited to that, but every day until the end of their term, should take into account and implement. Look, we have discussed and agreed that there exists a particular culture of fearing political education because of political lexicons. Abanye bazakuthi ngamagama aquzayo. Now, people tend to fear or to be scared of political education because of that, which we have resolved that the newly elected PCT, especially the office of the PCT of the Paul Ed, should try by all means to like simplify the Paul Ed. We have agreed that there is lots of material coming from national down to the provinces of Paul Ed material. However, branches, if not regions, don't make use of them because of these jargons of words. We have also discussed and agreed that the Commission noted that there are no political education happening in our regions and into our branches. We have also tasked the Paul Ed officer that will be responsible for that in the new PCT, that they should implement or draft a curriculum that will be filtered down from the province on up to the last man of the branch. We need to create, okay, I've just mentioned that. We've given them an immediate task of not more than 3 months, that the new or the freshly elected Paul Ed officer of the province must, as a matter of urgency, develop programs, and there must be frequently asked questions created for fighters to read casually and regularly. One of the examples was that the party now has done issues very, very easy for us. Some of these things you can read on your phone when you are in other places like your bedroom, toilets, or when you are in the places of social. You just go through that, you read through. But there shouldn't be a day, if not 2 days, of you not reading any party material. Reading groups must be established in sub-regions, regions and zones. These groups must read to understand the constitutional and the political documents of the party. And as they create these groups should not be only meant for regions, branches only, including the PCT itself should have its own study group where they can constantly remind each other, constantly refresh each other about political education. There should also, as a matter of urgency, as we have mentioned, that there should be a translation of our documents into our languages that will be understood by the people. We had an example that if you are in Didorens, we don't take anything away from Didorens. If you are from Didorens, you don't have to read this booklet which has big English words. But this booklet should be translated if the medium of instruction of Didorens is Afrikaans. This book should be translated into Afrikaans, so that it can be understood even by the layman of that particular area. And we have tasked the PCT to do that within 12 months as they assume office. We have also identified that there's a gap between branches and public reps. Often in our branches, we get to be victims of lies from our ward councillors who are coming from other political parties. We need to have informative sessions which come from our public reps, either from the council up to Parliament, especially the comrades from Parliament. If they are free from their parliamentary schedule, they should be available to us to come and do our community meetings, especially in the region of Metro, where they are mostly based. Because we find our own people and our own BCTs being lied at by these other ward councillors because of information which is flowing from these government offices to us. We also engaged and agreed that there should be robust engagement on how we can challenge thinking of our own members. There was an example that we can even have a poll ad session where it can be umzekelo. It can be between Zone 6 and Zone 8, and there can be a soccer mecharanyana about 5-a-side, some brochure sales, and in between that we'll be doing poll ad. That can be done because we are not 55. We are still below the age where we can be able to do those things. We have also identified, which we think this is very, very critical. There was a fighter from the Cape Metro who was insisting on this one, that the new poll ad officer of the province should have a relationship or should work hand in hand with the elections officer of the province, where if there is a poll ad, there should be also elections training. There should also party agent training, because we have witnessed it. We have identified that in most of the cases, it is not that we don't get the votes, but our votes get stolen inside the VD because our party agents are not well informed. They don't know what really that they need to do, because we get to train them a week, if not 3 days before the election day. Now, if there will be poll ad every fortnight, in every poll ad session, there should be a party agent training, there should be an elections training. That should be ongoing until the end of their term, which even the next collective should take over that, and even regions should also adopt that. So Delegates, these are the 7 points that the Poll Ed Commission have discussed, agreed upon, and we have tabled them in front of this third EFF Western Cape People's Assembly. Thank you very much.
Ngosi for wakwadwane. Becelo ke nje bonke ababazi noti rapporteurs ababazi subscribers, they must print these reports and then they must send to the PS, Commissar Muller. Ukwenzela zikhipshwe in file zike zenziwe. Sawucela ke for e-governance Faitasiya kuyacelwa ke wonke umuntu ophandle angene. The CIC is on the way. We want all of you sit down. And we want the door to be closed. We ask the DOR to be always at the door because the CIC is on the way. Thank you. Siyake ngaphambili.
Inkosi kakhulu, Deputy Chairperson. Mandibulise emveni kwemini uqala pha kunobhala jikelele nazo zonke CCT members. The newly elected PCT led by Commissar Unathi Ndame. All regional leaders and delegates, molweni maqaba. Ndizawuripota nge-Commission ye-Governance. The Commission has noted that since 2014, the EFF in the Western Cape has only 2 MPLs and 25 PR councillors and 0 ward councillors out of 406 wards in the entire province. We note that there's a lack of cooperation or a gap between public representatives and organizational structures at the lower level. We note that there's a lack of capacity in the work of public representatives due to educational challenges. And we believe that the above is caused by the lack of well-established relations between the public representatives and the organizational structures. We therefore resolve on the following. All public representatives must adopt wards, schools, as instructed or directed by the organization, where they will work as part of their constituencies. And there must be specifics as to when you adopt a school, what are you going to do in that school? We must be specific in terms of that. And there must be a reporting process in terms of you adopted a Sinetemba High School and you committed that you are going to assist students with sanitary towels. When are you going to do that? That must be reflected at all material times. We must strengthen the relations between public representatives and branches in order to establish the expected working relationships. And these wards will form sub-caucuses that will assist with giving mandate to public representatives. Meaning here, the sub-caucus is based on sub-councils. All councillors are deployed in sub-councils. And those sub-councils are formed out of a particular wards. So before a councillor goes into a sub-council meetings, there must be an engagement between those wards and the councillor that is going to, so that you establish what are the issues, so that when you get into the sub-council, you don't talk or say your own things, but you say what has been done and what is the need from those particular wards. We also said the EFF or the GTU must hold meetings to monitor and guide the councillors. And these must be monthly meetings. The tendency is that meetings of GTUs do not sit because there are no specific times as to when a GTU meeting is going to sit, so that councillors can be monitored on the specifics that they are supposed to do on a daily basis or monthly basis or weekly basis. But once GTU meetings sit on a monthly basis, that councillor or that public representative will know that I have a responsibility to perform my duties and report come month end. We must also hold ongoing capacity building sessions with the branches around administrative processes of governance, such as budgets, IDP, establishment of ward committees, and all service delivery-related challenges. We must be able to build the capacity of ground forces and fighters so that when they get into the governance, whether you have become a councillor, but at least you have a clue what is happening in councils. But we also said the deployment of public representative on by-elections need to be communicated in advance by relevant governance deployment structure. Having noted that the organization directed all public representatives to buy buggies, and we have noted that some still do not have buggies. The elections were last year in November, and we resolved that at least by the 1st of November, all public representatives of the Western Cape must have buggies. Lastly, we said the GTU head, working hand in hand with the political education desk, must prioritize capacity building of public representatives by providing political education programs, and that includes founding manifesto, the constitution of EFF, the code of conduct, the election manifestos, and other administrative related sessions such as formulation of bills, how to put motions, and budget. So those are the things that we resolved on as the Commission on Governance. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Faitasia. Ujola ngathi kucolojola apha. Yeah, ndibona loo nto. Ngokheli, what we are going to do now, we are not going to comment, ask questions, and assist whatever information you can by now, because CIC is on the way. It's just close to 5 minutes. We will ask Commissioner SG to come forward and lead the program. Sizulilwela, silifuma.
Fighters, thank you very much, Deputy Chair. We have a problem. Everybody's going to the toilet and all those things. We are closing the door now. Okay, it's fine. If you go, we are going to lock the door, but you won't come in. And it's not going to happen what you're trying to do. Secondly, there is a PCT member, stand up sis. She says she lost a black bag, food, McDonald's, and a laptop. Did you get your laptop? Ukona oti ushiye laptop apu RS wagupi? Regional Treasurer of Cape Winelands, she says she left her laptop here. Please, if you have seen it, assist. And a black bag. Those who were helping me to clear the stage here, there was McDonald's drinks and a black bag. Oh, there she is there. She has the black bag. Go there. There is a hand going up there. Just get out. Mina bengizoyenza ama-announcement angasimnandanga. SG.
Where's the McDonald's? It's for the McDonald's. Good see. And that bag of yours, RS of Cape Metro. Yeah, I suspect. What do you call McDonald's? Now, fighters, the president is entering. I'm going to ask the president of the Student Command to come and lead us on a revolutionary song, as we are welcoming the Commander-in-Chief to be amongst us. Abon Uguti, Obani that were here in this conference and what took place. President of the Student Command.
EFF yasetyenzelwa alala EFF yasetyenzelwa alala yasetyenze oh alala alala oh alala alala EFF aberegelwa chu chu alala aberege EFF aberegelwa alala alala yasetyenze oh alala chu alala aniniva oh alala alala yasetyenze EFF yasetyenzelwa alala yasetyenze EFF yasetyenzelwa alala yasetyenze oh alala alala oh alala chu 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 alala kwaba 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 EFF aberegelwa alala EFF yasetyenzelwa iyo ah
halala iyasetyenze oh halala halala oh halala. One more time, Kwaba, one more time. Oh EFF yasetyenzelwa halala chu EFF yasetyenzelwa halala yasetye awu halala halala awu halala halala. Awo thina singena imvula isitsho awo singena imvula isitsho ngena chuchu awo ngena chuchu nama fighter thina singena imvula isitsho thina singena imvula isitsho thina singena imvula isitsho oh ngena chuchu Kwaba bathi imvula iyeza bathi imvula iyeza bathi imvula iyeza oh ngena chuchu chu bathi imvula iyeza bathi imvula iyeza bathi imvula iyeza oh ngena chuchu awo thina singena imvula isitsho thina singena imvula isitsho thina singena imvula isitsho oh ngena chuchu andiliva thina singena imvula isitsho thina singena imvula isitsho awo singena imvula isitsho oh ngena chuchu Kwaba bathi imvula iyeza bathi imvula iyeza bathi imvula iyeza oh ngena chuchu awo chiyo mama chiyo mama ayo shona malanga 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 shona ayo shona malanga ayo shona malanga shona awo celo skokhele statu celo skokhele chuchu celo skokhele awo celo skokhele chuchu celo skokhele awo celo skokhele oh ayo shona malanga ayo shona malanga ayo shona malanga ayo shona malanga shona ayo shona malanga chu ayo shona malanga ayo shona malanga ayo shona malanga chuchu celo skokhele awe chuchu skokhele chuchu celo skokhele awo
Awe chuchu skokele. Chuchu telu skokele. Awe chuchu skokele. Chuchu telu skokele. Awe chuchu skokele. Wewa ayo shona malanga. Shona malanga. Iyo. Shona malanga. Ayo shona malanga. Ayo shona malanga. Ayo shona malanga. Ubu president. Chu. Ayo shona malanga. Iyo. Ayo shona malanga. Ayo shona malanga. Ayo shona malanga. Ayo shona malanga. Iyo. Iyo. Ungayeki ayo shona malanga. Ayo shona malanga. Ayo shona malanga. Kwaba. Ayo shona malanga. Ayo shona malanga. Amalanga shona malanga. Ayo shona malanga. Awe chuchu telu skokele. Awe chuchu skokele. Chuchu telu skokele. Awe chuchu skokele. Chuchu telu skokele. Awe telu skokele. Chuchu telu skokele. Awe telu kwaba. Awe ayo shona malanga. Ayo shona malanga. Ayo shona malanga. Ayo shona malanga. Shona. Ayo shona malanga. Iyo. Shona malanga. Ayo shona malanga. Ayo shona malanga.
Amanda. Asinizwa. Amanda. Ayihlale phansi. Ayihlale phansi. Viva EFF, viva. Viva EFF Western Cape, viva. Kula EFF Central Karoo, kula. Gina EFF Southern Cape, Gina. Phambili EFF Overpack, phambili. Phambili EFF West Coast, phambili. Phambili EFF Cape Winelands, phambili. Tata EFF Cape Metro, tata. Tata EFF Cape Metro, tata. Tata EFF Cape Metro, tata. Long live the Commander-in-Chief, long live. 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 Come on, down. And go the fighters. Thank you very much, fighters. Mantatel Tuba. Damgele umongameli. Our president, the commander-in-chief. Besenditi president. In front of you, 635 Battalion of Western Cape. President, these fighters, they've demonstrated maximum discipline. Since we've been planning this PPA from arrival, they arrived on time, they went to register and they came to work because their commitment is about this organization. We can say, President, none of them went to the beach. They came here to work. We did not have to go to the beach and look for fighters. They came here to work, President. We started yesterday, engaged on the work of the organization, where they reflected on the work of the last 4 years, and then they knew what they wanted to do up until where we are. Angit Beksachen. Thank you very much, President. We welcome you. The leadership is here, the newly elected leadership, led by Commissar Unati. They are here in front of you, President. We're not going to waste time because the fighters and the entire province of Western Cape and the entire country has been waiting on you, ukuthi uzosinikeza umkhombandlela usixhobise on how to defeat the racist whites that have been exploiting our people here in Western Cape 1652. Comrade President.
Amandla. Amandla. Viva EFF, viva. Viva EFF, viva. Tata EFF, tata. Tata EFF, tata. Woza 2024, woza. Woza 2024, woza. Sabonga, thank you very much. Nopala Chigelele, Commissar Marshal Dlamini, Sibonge, convener yetu, former SG, Godrich Kadi, and all CCT deployees who are here in our province of Western Cape. I'm standing here very proud of all of you, that you came here knowing very well what is expected from all of you. And that's why when the organization asked you to stay all night long to focus on the business of why we are here, not a single individual delegate resisted that instruction, for because you knew that we are here to do the work of the landless masses of our people, that include those who have been rejected by the system and the unemployed young people of South Africa. You came here to seek for alternative solution to economic crisis that is confronting our people here in the Western Cape and all over South Africa. The problem of land dispossession started here. When Jan van Riebeeck arrived here in 1652, and the rest is history because his descendants still have in their possession stolen goods, and you came together to want to discuss what are the alternative peaceful constitutional processes that we can engage in reclaiming the stolen property from the Khoi and the San and the African people in general. We are happy that our delegates appreciate the problems that are confronting our people in the Western Cape. Those who came for something else would have said no when we asked them to stay all night long to find an alternative solution to our problem. No one in Khayelitsha is worried about who's going to be the leader of the EFF. The people of Khayelitsha, the people of Langa, and all over the Western Cape are awaiting the outcomes of this conference as to what is going to be the solution to the poverty that they are confronted with on a daily basis. Today, we have a problem not only here in South Africa, but all over the world in terms of cost of living. Everything is expensive. Our people in Cape Winelands and Stellenbosch and all over are swimming in a pool of poverty. And when they seek employment, instead of being paid with a piece of land or acceptable living wage, they are paid with alcohol. And they are told that if they don't want to accept the alcohol, they will have to leave what they call jobs. Today in George, in Knysna, in Southern Cape, where the rich of the richest people in South Africa reside, that's where you find African people not benefiting from anything called the agricultural economy of that place. The rich live in lavish homes. The richest white people are found there. And next to them, it's where you find the poorest of the poor in South Africa. And we are told to be poor in Western Cape is better than being poor in Limpopo. But it is more painful to be poor next to the richest of the rich, because you see what lavish life does to people than we in the villages of Limpopo who do not see a lavish life. The richest man, a white man in Limpopo, is at the lowest level of the richest in Knysna. The poorest of the poor in Knysna know what is the highest level of richness in life and in society. They live watching them, living that lavish life without any benefits to them. The people of Central Karoo are told that this democracy is going to benefit them. But till to date, there are no jobs in Central Karoo, no proper schools, no decent housing, highest form of unemployment, highest form of abuse of alcohol and drugs. In Overberg, Hermanus, our people do not benefit anything from farming, yet they've got a beautiful land that was left to them by our ancestors. As indigenous people of that land, they see the fruits of that land and the beauty of that land being exploited by those who have no regard for those indigenous people and for the history of Hermanus. Here in the Cape Metro, immediately when you come out of airport, you are welcomed by poverty that is displayed by shacks and dumping areas and RDP houses that are not in good shape. Immediately when you have passed those areas, you now begin to see the richest racist living on the other side of the road alongside the poorest of the poor. You want to know what is racism? You are lazy to read about racism. Come to the Cape Metro. You need no literature on racism. You will experience it literally and practically, and you will know what racism is about. When you enter Kailicha, the way these racists are so scalums, they've beautified the roads in Kailicha and everywhere else, the main roads. When you leave the main roads into the belly of what constitutes Kailicha, you become exposed to the realities of our people who live in absolute poverty, and majority of them having given up on looking for jobs. When there is fire in those shacks, you are guaranteed that there is no single shack that is going to survive. Our people live like animals in the Western Cape. Yet, we are told this is the best run province under the Democratic Alliance. True that, but it is best run for the whites and not for the majority of our people who reside in this province of Western Cape and in the city of Cape Town. Comrades, we are told there is a best policing in the Western Cape. Helen Zille says that, Magogo, all the time, that no, we've got the best policing. We want the minister to give the powers to the province so that we can run this police ourselves. The best policings for the best suburbs of Cape Town and for the whites, not for ordinary people. You can have a situation where 400 mass shooting cases get reported to the police in the Western Cape, and not 90%. All of 400 cases of shootings are happening amongst our people, and no single white person is affected by the killings that are happening in the Cape Flats and everywhere else. I'm happy that the EFF has now taken up that issue of the Cape Flats, because they are now confronting it head on, and they are saying to the people of Cape Flats, it is only the EFF that can become a permanent solution to the crimes that constitute the lives of our people in Cape Flats, in Nyaga, in Philippi, and everywhere else. There is nothing special that we have to do to win the colored vote except to live amongst colors and find solutions with the colored community. They want a person who lives amongst them. They want a person who appreciates their challenges and work daily with them to ensure that a solution is found. Not leadership that assumes office and get co-opted by the gangsters of Western Cape and become part of the gangster mafia that undermine the security and the safety of our people. Because gangsters have got money, drug dealers have got money, and they've got readily available cash. That's why DA is unable to deal with that problem of gangsterism and criminality, because all councillors of DA are financed by drug dealers and gangsters who are existing in those communities. Black people who exist here in Cape Town and in the Western Cape are called immigrants by Helen Zille, who came through a ship into this country, into this city. She's got some chicken audacity to say to our people they are immigrants, because they've got no regards for a black life. Black life is cheap, and they can treat it the way they want to treat it. Today, there is a sponsored view that Western Cape must become an independent country. All they are saying is the Western Cape must become an independent white colony so that they are away from what the Constitution of South Africa demands, that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white. They want an exclusive area for white people. That's why they call for an independent Western Cape. I don't know why they can't take their bags and go to Orania or go to any place where it's exclusively white. There will never be an independent Western Cape. Western Cape is South Africa, and South Africa is Western Cape, and it will never be a colony again. Not when we're still alive. Even when we are dead, those who come after us should know that this province belongs to South Africa, and it will never be independent from South Africa. They must go and ask Mangosuthu Buthelezi when he wanted to make KZN an independent state and refused the IFP to participate in the 1994 elections. It was a waste of time. Whether he liked it or not, he ended up joining the elections in 1994. That's why the IFP was there through a sticker on a ballot paper, because it came too late. They said Natal was independent and therefore it was not part of South Africa. Natal is part of South Africa and it will never be independent. So Helen and all sponsored molecules that exist under her, they should know this province very soon will belong to the EFF, and it will be fully declared that it belongs to South Africa. These tourists who are coming here in their numbers should never confuse her to be meaning that these tourists belong to South Africa. They remain tourists. And therefore, by being here in their huge numbers as white tourists does not make Western Cape an independent state. Western Cape is South Africa, and these tourists, they know wherever they come from. When they make bookings, it first says South Africa, then it says Cape Town or Western Cape. It doesn't say the independent state of Western Cape. They come to the Republic of South Africa and eventually come to the Western Cape. Comrades, we don't know and will hear when the SG gives a report about what you discussed here. But this is a province where a lot of people don't have land and they live like sardines in the squatter camps. But the organization of the land is unable to attract the landless people of the Western Cape. Why do you say your first cardinal pillar is expropriation of land without compensation, and at the same time be in a position that you are unable to attract the landless people of the Western Cape? Because the cardinal pillar should automatically attract the landless people to come to the organization of the land. Are you just talking about the expropriation of land without compensation from a theoretical point of view without putting that into practice? Or is the leadership of the EFF in the Western Cape constituted by laziness that is unable to attract the people to come to the organization of the land? Because the landless people, in their majority, they are found here in the Western Cape. They are being pushed away from the mountains. They are being pushed away from the sea. They too want to stay next to the beach. They too want to stay next to the mountain. But you are following in the land occupation program the special planning of the apartheid and colonialist state that said black people must stay away from the cities and towns. That's where white people stay. Let's take, for example, an occupation of land in the Cape Metro that took place or in Stellenbosch. None of those occupations take people closer to Stellenbosch. Instead, your land occupation takes people away, further away from the town. Yet you say you are the organization of the land. The land means that we must go to a prime land, not to a rotten land, not to a land where people are not staying because you are risking the lives of our people. Has there ever been identification of land in Camps Bay? Have we ever attempted to occupy land in Camps Bay and settle our people in a beautiful prime land of the Western Cape? Or we are taking our people into risky, rotten lands. And when it rains, our people get washed away by the rain because unconsciously, without declaration, you are following what apartheid said we must do. Stay away and further away from town. Because the town belongs to white people. The organization of the land must make sure that our people go closer to the clinics. Why do you go where there's no clinic? So that when they shoot, you must tell them, we are not looking for the land. We are looking for this clinic. We want to reside next to where there is a clinic. Why are you taking our people to where there are no schools? Because we have to go where there are schools. We have to go where there are hospitals. We have to go where there is water. We have to go where there is proper roads. We have to go where there is reliable electricity. No. What do? You take them further away. And even when they settle there, the white minority is not bothered by that because they do not disturb them. But if we settle next to the suburb, I can guarantee you will get services tomorrow. We will be formalized tomorrow. There will be water and electricity for our people tomorrow. There will be proper RDP houses to match the standard of the suburbs tomorrow, because whiteness will be threatened by our presence next to them. And they will say to the white government, please put services there. Because these people, as they help themselves in the bush, they make the whole area to be smelly. The whites are going to join us. Why? Because we've destabilized their comfort. And whites can never live without comfort. You stay away from their comfort, they will never be bothered by your struggle. Every time we say there is a shack without water and electricity, they respond by saying, shame. What happened? Because it doesn't affect their comfort. You ought to make the comfortable uncomfortable and the uncomfortable comfortable. That's how you know the revolution is taking place. With so much unemployment in the Western Cape, why is the organization of Jobs Now and Land Now not attract the unemployed people of the Western Cape and take power? What have you been doing here in the Western Cape? With so many unemployed people, with government that has got no plan to create jobs, with government that has got no plan to change the patterns of property ownership in South Africa, with a clear plan from the EFF that we will transfer the ownership of the means of production into the hands of the people. Why have you not attracted the unemployed? If you are an organization of the unemployed people, if you are an organization that prides itself of being a protest movement, so many protests in the Western Cape. Why are those people who are protesting every day not joining and voting the EFF into power? I hope in your commission you have answered that question. Why are we not attractive to the unemployed when we've got such a clear program that we're going to create jobs? An organization of Frantz Fanon that prides itself on black consciousness, that exists amongst racists, that exists amongst white supremacy, that exists amongst the people who are subjected to racism on a daily basis. Why have you not attracted those victims of racism? Why are the victims of racism not attracted to you? Do you exist in paper, or do you exist amongst our people? And do you help these victims of racism to confront racism and nip it on the bud and make sure that racism is confronted here in the Western Cape? You went to a school here to protest the other time, and you were beaten by white people. And there is a white man who's visible on camera. If I were to ask you, what have you done in terms of follow-up after being beaten by that white guy? Why have you not, as a revolutionary organization, followed up on that guy, him alone, to check that guy in an isolated space and attend to the guy properly? What type of revolutionaries get beaten and they don't have a follow-up? And then they pride themselves of being beaten, and they repeat videos of themselves being beaten, and we must vote for them because they were beaten by a white man that they've never followed up on the same white man that has beaten them up. Tell that white man to try me. I'll come many times here in Western Cape appearing a court case because no white man is going to beat me up and call myself a revolutionary the following day. You must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Why did Mandela take up a gun? He was the first soldier of Mkhonto Wesizwe. Why did he take up a gun? Was he taking a gun to distribute roses? He took up a gun because the revolution had reached a point where there is no longer an alternative but to kill. Why are you scared? That anything that stands on the way of the revolution, it must be eliminated in the best interest of the revolution, and we must never be scared to do that. The founding manifesto of the EFF says we'll take power by all means necessary. And therefore revolutionaries, when confronted by that situation, should never think twice. Cowards are not for the revolution. The EFF must be known that it is not a playground for racists. That any racist that plays next to the EFF and threatens and beat up the membership and the leadership of the EFF, that is an application to meet your maker with immediate effect. You were beaten by a racist and you never did anything. Let's hope this new leadership will make a follow-up on that racist, because there must be a follow-up on that racist. I'm not asking you to do what I've not done. When a racist confronted me at Winnie Mandela's funeral, I did what I was expected to do, because I was not scared of a white man. You get beaten by white people here and you call yourself an organization of Fanon. Racism is violence, and violence can only be ended by violence, not any other necessary means. It must be confronted by how it is. You are a racist, therefore you are a violent person, and you shall be treated as such. Do not create an impression that we are the most understanding organization when it comes to racism. We have no understanding for violence. You come with violence, we shall respond with violence. This is a war between white supremacy and black consciousness. You must know the two will never meet. We are in a permanent war with white supremacists. As a black conscious person, when a white supremacist raises his or her ugly head, you ought to stand up immediately and say, this is what we do not tolerate as black consciousness people. We don't accept dominance of a white race over a black race. So fighters, the Western Cape should be at the center of the confrontation of white supremacy, because racism is rife here in this province. There is a huge potential in this province, yet you get 3%. For what? The leadership that is elected here, the delegates that are gathered here, you had a difficult task and a difficult question to answer. And that question is, how do we move from 3% into 51% and take over without having to kiss frogs? Because we go around kissing frogs, say, coalition, hey, ha, ha. We can't allow that. To be kissing ugly people of the ANC. And worse, kissing DA, white racist, with very thin lips. We can't allow that. We do not want a coalition in the Western Cape. We want an outright win, which will put the racists at their right place and govern this province in the best interest of our people. The ANC has failed. You have to come in. The ANC got a chance to govern this province. If the ANC once got a chance to govern this province, it means it's possible for us to govern this province without any form of coalition. So, the organization must always be grounded amongst the working class, because we are the vanguard of the working class. The working class is both those who are employed and those who are unemployed, but the determination of their class position is their relationship to the means of production. Do they own or they do not own the means of production? Anyone who doesn't own the land, anyone who doesn't own monopoly industries, anyone who doesn't own the banks, anyone who doesn't own the insurance, finance companies, that person belongs to us. And those people must be attracted into the organization. That includes, by the way, white women. White women do not own the means of production. They are excluded by their own husbands. That's why the argument that says housewives must be paid is correct. Because as these husbands who are rich go into manipulating the economy, you become the house executive and make sure that everything at home goes well. It's a job on its own and therefore must be paid. That's why you must never marry a housewife if you don't have money. It's a job. She has to look after these workers. She has to look after children. She has to make sure that meetings at school are being attended and all. It's a full-time job. So, and actually people get hired for that. To take kids to school, to go fetch them. She does that. So, when we fight, remember, in our struggle, we are also fighting for white women who are excluded from the economy by white Afrikaner males who have no regard for females. And who, by the way, are very big on domestic violence. They beat them every Friday and make them cancel cases every Monday. After drinking Clip, Drift, and Coke, they go and attack their wives. So those women, those white women, are waiting for the EFF to come and rescue them from a racist masculinity of white Afrikaner males who think that life revolves around them. So we hate nobody. That's why we fight for white women. So our constituency include white females. Our constituency include the white hobos that we meet on the streets. When you talk about the EFF, they say they don't want the EFF because it wants to take the land away from them. Which land you are at the robot? Which land are we going to take from you? You own no land. We want to take the land from these people who are manipulating land ownership in Stellenbosch and give you a portion. You are not born a white hobo. You've got the skills. We can give you a piece of land and you work on it. So, working class means exactly that. Working class does not mean race. It means a white hobo which does not own the means of production belongs to the EFF. So every white person who doesn't own the means of production belong to the EFF. Meaning 90% of white people belong to the EFF because in the white community it's only 10% of whites who own the means of production. So you can't say you derive your ideological tools of analysis from Lenin and still view people, these white, landless people, as white people. They must be viewed as the working class. So, at all material times, the survival of this organization depends on the usage of the Leninist Marxist tools of analysis. Do not use feelings. Do not use your personal relationship to make a political determination. At all times, use political tools of analysis to analyze a political situation so that you are able to identify the enemy. If a random question was to be asked, who is the enemy? Many of you here are going to point at people who are contesting against you as the enemy. In this tent here, there is no enemy. We all belong to the same class and to the same struggle. But in the absence of the tools of analysis, you use factional mentality to determine an enemy. Factions are dangerous because they take your membership of the EFF away from you and then they own it. And when they take away your membership of the EFF, you become a member of another member and you cease to be a member of the EFF. Factions, by the way, also have disciplinary committee. If there is a lady you like and it belongs to another faction, and then you belong to this other faction, and you date that lady, that's ill discipline. You are going to be taken to the disciplinary committee of a faction. Or yeah, we're talking here, but the same people are going out with the other people from the other side. We can disagree politically and still share a glass of Coke. There are a lot of people in the ANC who are my friends and who have never supported me. Don't talk about the EFF. When I was in the ANC, they never supported me. But socially we got along very well. But politically we always knew where we stand. There was never confusion about that. But it didn't mean we can't socialize together. That's why even when I walk with them today, I don't doubt myself. They know where I stand. I know where they stand. Mzwandile Masina in Ikuruleni is a friend of mine. The EFF doesn't want to vote for the ANC in Ikuruleni. It will never happen. We will not vote for the ANC because CIC and Mzwandile are friends. We're not going to use those tools of analysis to determine how we vote in Ikuruleni. We look at what is in the best interest of the EFF now. What is its strategic objective? And which tactics do we use to arrive at its strategic objective? Does voting for Mzwandile Masina and Ikuruleni put the EFF in a better position to advance its strategic objective? If the question is no, it doesn't matter how Mzwandile Masina and Malema relate. It will not happen. But tomorrow, after not voting for him, you'll find us together. And when he tries to raise those things, we're here for this other arrangement, not those things. Leave that. It's called political maturity. Let me tell you a secret. Some of the people you have not voted for here are going to leave the EFF. Because to them, EFF is position. And when they don't get positions, they go. You must never see that as a setback. You are very fortunate to come from a province where there is a sea. I come from villages, there is no sea. When they leave, you must know the sea is cleansing itself of opportunities. Why do you want to go? Because you're not elected? Do we owe you a vote? Is that what you joined for? We thought we joined here to liberate the people from the shacks. Why do you make the struggle about yourself? Because whether you are voted for or not, the EFF is still there. Let's continue with the task of joining the EFF. You must never feel sorry for losers who become bitter losers. If you lost because you were robbed and wrong things were said about you and unfairly treated, that's when you must love the organization more. Winnie Mandela went to the grave being a member of the ANC despite the ANC ill-treating her to the grave. Even when she was dead, they still did not want to follow her wishes. That Julius Malema must speak at my funeral. They still wanted to ill-treat her in her coffin. But she got buried with a black, green, and gold flag because she was loyal to that organization. And when it kept on treating her unfairly, she became more loyal to that organization. Why? She knew history will absolve her. What happened? When she died, the young and old woman stood up and said, she did not die. She multiplied, and you will find her in all of us. So the ENCA broadcasted all negative things about her, said all manner of nonsense against her. It was the young women and all women of South Africa who confronted the ENCA and said, you dare don't say that nonsense about her. Their story changed in less than a day to praising her because she knew, even if I'm ill-treated, the day will come where the people will know what I stood for, and they will defend what I stood for. It's not about me. I followed her coffin to a grave, drove behind the hedge. As we were moving on the freeway, on the N1 and turned into William Nicole, I found black and white people standing on the road. It was raining that day. Young kids, white, black, on the road with their parents. They all stood in salutation. They were waving at the hash as it was passing. I almost cried on that day because they told me this woman is hated by everybody. This woman is not wanted by everybody. Our people stood on that day and said, this is our hero. I did not need anyone to tell me about Winnie Mandela. The people of South Africa stood up in salutation and said, we know her. I asked Mbuyiseni, why are the white people standing here? Because we're told this woman is not wanted by anyone. She's a reject. She's a trouble. They stood and said, we know our leaders. No one will tell us about our leaders, black and white. The road towards her grave, the N1 was closed. Only the funeral cars were allowed on that road. The opposite roads, the cars stopped on their own. Heavy rain. They came out. They took out their phones in salutation. A day before, I went to fetch her from the mortuary. When we went to fetch her, as we're coming back in Soweto, grannies took out chairs and sat down outside their houses, waving at the hash, saying goodbye to their leader. She was never a president. She was never a minister. She was a people's person. She needed no position for her to be declared the mother of the nation. That title till today is not occupied. Because no one get voted a mother of the nation. It's a title you will never get in any conference. You earn it through your doings in society. You want to leave because you are not elected, the door is open. You want to fight for positions in the EFF, you are in a wrong organization. Do you want to become a councillor at all costs, you are in a wrong organization. When councillors are elected, even 3 years down the line, you are still complaining about councillors, you are in a wrong organization. Because the question should be, is there a red beret in the Cape Metro? If the answer is yes, we're fine. The EFF is inside there. Comrades, we must never, not once, declare amongst ourselves that we are enemies. We are the most hated people in this country. We are the enemies of the beneficiaries of the system, and therefore cannot afford to be enemies amongst ourselves. You know, when you ask an 8-year-old child which party you want to vote for, they say the EFF. So when you come here and you fight to a point where you destroy the EFF, you must know in 10 years' time, when that child is now eligible to vote, she will not find the EFF on a ballot paper. And therefore you have shattered the dream of an 8-year-old who said, when the day comes, I'm going to vote for the EFF. It's not about you. These women who are staying in the squatter camps, when they see a red beret doing door to door, they come out of their shacks and wave and be happy because they see the hope in the red beret. The day you destroy that red beret, you ought to know you have destroyed the hopes of those mothers who are homeless and landless. The domestic workers who get raped every day at work by a white man. And they never tell that story because they know the day they tell that story, they will lose their jobs. And it is that job that stands between them and poverty. When they see the EFF, they say, my pain one day will come to an end when this organization come into power. You come here and you extend the miserable pains of those farm workers who are paid with alcohol. When they look at EFF, they say, one day these farms are going to belong to us. And through the workers' scheme, we'll be able to make more money and feed our families. You come here, for some reason you forget them. It's about you. And you forget why we came here. So, fighters, we are here to plead with you that do not become obsessed with your exaggerated self-importance. That there is a revolution that must be pursued outside. And that revolution will proceed against you. I mean, without you. There's a former chairperson here of the EFF in the Western Cape, Bernard, left the EFF to join other organizations. Today he wants to come back. He's extremely pleading. But the constitution of the EFF says, once you leave and you wear the colors of another organization, you will never be welcomed back in the EFF. The national chairperson likes that guy so much. He always says to me, hey, can't there be something? I'm like, there's nothing we can do. Don't make that mistake out of anger and then regret it later. Comrades, democratic centralism means the decision of a higher structure is binding on lower structures and the whole membership. Now here, this is the highest structure of the organization in the Western Cape. Whatever decision you took here by the majority is binding on all of you, whether you agreed or you did not agree. But let me tell you, the majority can be wrong. Even when the majority is wrong, we comply and continue to fight from within so that in the next conference, our idea will emerge. For as long as the EFF still exists, you are not defeated. You will continue to sell your idea from within. Stay put, stay loyal, so that when these ones who are elected make mistakes, people can always say, yes, we should have elected those ones. And then when they turn, they should always find you there, hanging posters of the EFF without a position. You know we are in parliament here. The ANC is in majority. And it makes mistakes all the time with its majority. It's not always correct. That majority is always right. They might have won here. Maybe they even bought people. Maybe they bought people KFC and they gave them money and all of that. That's fine. Majority prevailed. But they must know we are not going anywhere. They did not invite us here. We joined on our own. KFC leadership, it will disappear the same way the smell of KFC disappears. Never, as leaders, want to elect each other as friends. Resist that temptation, because that will be tantamount to killing the organization. When friends elect each other, then they go to that place, is it Kailicha or Rents? They go to Rents. Monday is an EFF day. We require the minutes. In the PCT, there are no minutes. When the chairperson says to the secretary, hey, chief, where are the minutes? The chairperson, the secretary says, you know, Musa, chief. You know where we were last night. I couldn't prepare. That's when the organization degenerates and it will die a natural death. When you elect leaders, I know I'm too late because you're already elected. When you elect leaders, whether this person took your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you hate this person so much, put that aside and ask the question, does this person love the EFF? When we put posters, does this person come? When we do door to door, does this person come? When we march, does this person come? Huh? I don't like this bastard, but this guy loves the EFF. And for that reason, I'm going to elect. But this one that you don't speak to, you don't talk to each other. No, yeah, we don't have to like each other. We have to like the EFF. Then that is sufficient. It's enough. I'm electing this person because he might hate me, but he loves the EFF. That's enough. We don't need anything more. Leaders of the EFF love the EFF more than positions, please. Love the membership of the EFF and execute your task. Because we asked you a question. Are you available? You said yes. We never said, are you available to be a counselor? We said, are you available to be a leader of the province of the EFF? You can't come here and tell me George is too far. What is your understanding of a province? Because we are electing a provincial leadership means George is your home. You can't say your home is too far. There used to be a leader of the EFF here in this province. Former leader who said Stellenbosch is too far. And he was telling the deputy president and he told the wrong person. Yes, says that guy. He holds a grudge forever. Every time he sees that guy, he says, this guy. He says Stellenbosch is too far. This guy. Stellenbosch. What are you going to do with Karoo if Stellenbosch is too far? Central Karoo. There is no corner. All of you are sitting here in front. There's no corner of Western Cape that is far. When we asked you, are you available? We asked you, are you available to go to Central Karoo? You said yes. So why is it far now? Please, yekela ukuthanda izinto. And think that we are in some beauty contest here or something like that. No. We are in a committed work here. When they ask you, are you available? Yes, of course. You think we are here for, yes, of course. The job starts tomorrow. We want 1 million members by the end of December. And the Western Cape must come to a party. This thing that every time we talk about EFF, the province that is at the back is Western Cape, ends today. We're going to have a best run province. I like your treasurer because I've seen her on the social media. taking head on gangsters, taking on hardcore criminals, fighting in the most difficult places. If she can reach and fight there, what stops you? Please, all of us must join the struggle of the treasurer to make the colored areas a permanent seat of the EFF and not isolate the colored community. Stop suffering from low self-esteem and think, no, I can't go to the colored area. You are a leader of all of us. Indian, coloreds, whites, blacks, Africans, including white people of Western Cape. As a leader of the EFF, you are their leader. Go and talk to them. Leadership must never always want to be received with roses. Go to the most hostile areas where you are going to be insulted, where you are going to be shouted at. That's what builds a character. You know, a swarsak, that black bag that we put in the rubbish bin, that's what a leader is. All rubbish gets thrown at you. You must receive. Don't say, I can't go there. Hey, they insult me, they insult me. No, that's where we go. Some of us were insulted to a point where they thought we'll hide in some cocoon. No, we went to them and confronted them. They called all insult to a point where they've now run out of insults. They're done. There's nothing they can ever use on Julius Malema. They called everything. Everything. Including the potions where the sun will never shine. That was called. Everything was called. That's why we're not scared of anything. Not even death can shake us. So leaders, do not be scared of insults and intimidation and threat of life. That's what builds you. That's what makes you a charismatic leader. That's what makes you to follow in the footsteps of Chris Hani and Winnie Mandela and the likes. Insults were howled at them. You hear leaders say, no, hey, I'm leaving Twitter. Hey, what for? Just tweet and get out and don't stop entertaining fake accounts that insults us. We don't care about those insults. They do nothing to us. We use Twitter to communicate a message. Those who want to drown in negativity, let them drown in negativity. We have no time for nonsense. We are using Twitter as a means of communication, not as a means of exchanging insults. We have no time for such things. Maybe in the olden days, now we're too focused, Shem. We have a country to run. That's where our eyes are. We're eyeing the Union building. Imagine you are eyeing the Union building. You are busy insulting people of Twitter. You will never arrive at the Union building. See, busy. We are going to Union building. Our direction is to the Union building, not to some rubbish that we come across all the time. Imagine when you live here, going back home to Overbeck. Every dog that barks at the car that you are driving in, you stop to throw stones at that car. You'll arrive next week. Because there are a lot of dogs here on the road towards Overbeck. Don't stop. They never bark at a stationed car. Once they bark, you must know you are moving. And that's why they are howling insults. Comrades, the EFF here in the Western Cape has got a huge potential. Huge. Do not be scared. Go to every street. go to every house, go to every factory, go to every university. Be everywhere where our people exist and contest the political space. The EFF will emerge victorious in this organization. Election of leadership is not a point of division, but it must be a point of coming together to reflect from where we come from to where we are, who can take us from this point to the next point. There is no point of hatred. There is no electricity in South Africa. Our people want a functional ESCOM. That ESCOM can only come from the EFF. They've sold everything. Dinel is dead. Transnet is dead. Prasa is dead. SAA was sold for 57 rand. There is no smallest part in every plane. There is no smallest part that sells for 57 rand. Smallest. There's no one. They didn't buy the smallest part. They bought the whole company for 57 rand. Daily Maverick says nothing about it because it's in the interest of the Oppenheimers. You must never, ever, when you read Daily Maverick, think you are reading a newspaper. No, you are reading a weapon of the Oppenheimers that goes after everyone who threatens the business interest of the Oppenheimers. There is no media house called Daily Maverick. There's no such a thing. It's a proper mafia propaganda to deal with those who don't support Cyril Ramaphosa. The country is collapsing. There is nothing left that is functioning. The country is looking for you. The EFF, they can't find you anywhere because you are not visible on the ground. You are consumed by palace politics. You will never replace the ANC or the DA if you are going to continue with palace politics. The reason why we wear overalls in parliament, in councils, is because we want to subconsciously remind you that the council must not consume you and you become part of this elite that constitutes the council. You are different. Do not allow palace politics to sharpen your consciousness. Fighters, we are all in here expected to follow Sankara's oath and be the most humble people in society. We must never derive pleasure out of display of opulence. We must never choose champagne over the water that must be given to our people. So, we must make sure we take over for every ward to have a clinic. It's not a slogan. It's real. If you want to know it's real, go and ask those women who are pregnant in the squatter camps, who are about to deliver a baby, and ambulance cannot access the squatter camp because there is no road. A pregnant woman must be put in a wheelbarrow to the main road so that she can deliver. When she's about to deliver, there's no wheelbarrow. She's got a 10-year-old boy. She says to a 10-year-old boy, go and call the neighbor to come and help me. When the young man is about to leave, he says, no, come back. It's too late, my boy. Hold here. A 10-year-old getting exposed to those issues of elders at that age and still think that child will be normal. Remember those people. Think of those people. That a young man who grows up in Langa, in Nyanga, who kills people without an appreciation of life. Because this boy has been damaged from very early in his life. We're fighting crime. We're protecting our women. But we never ask the question, what has led to a situation where this child has got no appreciation of life? Never been kissed on a forehead. Never been told, I love you. Never been hugged because he had to become a man at the age of 10 years so that he can go and look for food to come and feed this mother who has been abandoned by his own government. You are not in an organization because you are bored. You are called by society to come and rescue them. Our society is swimming in pain. We speak here tonight, all of us are going to be expected to sleep. There are so many children who are going to sleep with an empty stomach. Tomorrow, they have to go to school and pretend that everything is right so that the time comes for the feeding scheme to be provided during break. Between that morning and the feeding scheme time, the child can't concentrate. As a result, this child will never produce results. Not because he's a dunderhead, but because his mind is on what am I going to eat next. That's a story of a black child. As you sit here, their voices and silent voices are calling upon you to stand up and say, we will restore the dignity of a black child. We'll make sure a black child sleeps with a full stomach. We ought to do the most basic. Every ward has got a counselor. Why that counselor can't know that this family has got no single person who's working? Let's stop treating our communities as a group, but treat each family as an individual family with its own circumstances and be able to provide for that family's needs. I went to the Western Cape, not Northern Cape. During door to door, I found a woman with a man who's disabled. This old woman says to me, every time this man wants to go and help himself, I have to carry this man to the bush because there's no toilet. Even if you give them a wheelchair, there is no proper road that they can push that wheelchair. But there is a counselor there who ought to know the special circumstances of that family and to not treat them as a group. That I can hear all of you, but there is this family that needs an urgent attention. There is an old man who gets carried to the bush to go and help himself. Where's the counselor? Where's the minister? Where's the premier? Where's the MEC? Where are these parliamentarians? Where is this Malema they are talking about? When there is a one family, yes, all of us are struggling, but there is this family with a special circumstances. Do you know of that family as a fighter sitting here? What have you done for them? Except to go around talking rhetorics. These people will not eat the founding manifesto of the EFF. These people will not eat 7 cardinal pillars. You are a counselor. You are earning a little bit. Is there a family that is not related to you that you just give 300 rand per month for them to buy a bag of meal cabbage, and fish oil. If you can't help one family, why do you come here and tell us you can lead society? There's a well-known poverty-stricken family in your community. You know it. It doesn't need much. Politicians drinks all expensive things. Can't you cut down that and the balance of that be shared with that family? They are not asking for more. Why? We want to help that child who's going to sleep without food. It's not true that that family is doomed forever. They need one person who can just come and turn slightly their circumstances. Out of that, a giant gets produced in that family, and you change the living conditions of that family. If you can't help the people of Western Cape because you are so useless, at least help one. One in your life. So that when you die, there is this person who cries uncontrollably. And when we ask, what's wrong with this person crying this way? They say, this child completed her doctorate because of the intervention of this comrade who are bearing here today. Let's change lives of individuals. If we want to change the lives of communities and society. It's well and good to come here and stay until 5 a.m. in the morning, but you are not even known in your family that you are a leader. They just know you to be in Cape Town. As to what you are doing here, they don't know. You are not a leader in the family. You are not a leader in society. You are not a leader in your street. What type of a delegate is this one? Because a delegate is a leader. You were trusted by your own community to come and represent them here. So leaders lead from the front. And leadership is action. It's not all talk, talk, talk. Talk is cheap. We want leaders who take action. The little intervention you make and you think is useless, you'll be shocked. One day at a graduation ceremony, when you are sitting there as a councillor chairperson, the person just mentions you in the speech that I am what I am because of this comrade. We must become that. We must not become thugs and criminals and rejected people in our society. But when they see us, they see politicians, and politicians are associated with criminality that steals from the public. When they see us, yes, we are politicians, but they must see community activists that are there to help communities and change the lives of our communities. Comrades, we really appreciate your conduct. We appreciate your discipline. We appreciate your understanding that the organization has got no resources, and the little resources we have to maximize and make sure we hold this conference against all odds. You have made it, and you have shown everyone that it is possible through commitment to hold a successful conference without wasting resources. They won't say it. I saw Atiye. She must go and report that the ANC has been struggling to have a conference in Western Cape. The EFF did it and did it within a short space of time and have done it in a dignified and in a disciplined manner because they respect the people of Western Cape. The conference of the EFF is a reflection of the people of Western Cape. How you conducted yourself, you demonstrated that you are a serious organization ready to govern and take the Western Cape back to where it used to be and take care of ordinary people of this province. We thank the SG and all the deployees who came in here and make sure that this is possible. Comrades, you must never take, in this day and age, never take a successful conference for granted. Because a lot of these people get stuck on credentials, not on conference, on credentials. It takes them 3 days to adopt the credentials. So your adoption of credentials, your registration, and the regions that are far being the first ones to arrive is a demonstration of discipline by our own members. We really are very proud of what you taught us here today. We learn from you and we'll take this message all over the country that the Western Cape conducted itself in a manner that is expected from every revolutionary in the EFF. We congratulate the leadership. But before we do that, we must thank all those who led the EFF to where we are in this province. We don't take your contribution for granted. You have led, it's a difficult province. You have led this province. You have made the presence of the EFF be felt in this province. You made your mark. History will remember you as the giants that have led the EFF at a time when it was not fashionable to lead the EFF in the Western Cape. You were called names, all types of insults were hurled at you, but you soldiered on. We are here today because of you. This membership that is here, these delegates that are here are a product of your hard work. We thank you for being loyal and disciplined and for making sure that as given mandate by the previous PPA, you came back to give an account of what you did during your term of office. Whatever contribution you made, we thank you for that. And we hope that you will continue in this journey with the EFF until we deliver economic freedom to our people in the Western Cape and in South Africa. We also want to congratulate the newly elected leaders of the EFF in the province. Those who stood against you and did not support you are not enemies. They are competitors. They thought they can do better than you, and the membership thought different. Never declare those who contested you as enemies. Never declare those who came before you as enemies. The first meeting of the EFF in Western Cape is going to be called a handover meeting so that there is a smooth transition and we show our enemies that we are not fighting. The old are handing over to the new, and the new must take the baton from here and build a much more powerful EFF. I thank you.
Amanda! Amanda! Viva the President and the Commander-in-Chief, viva! No, thank you very much, President. Thank you very much, President. Usinikezile umkhombandlela, the Deputy Chairperson of Cape Metro. I want you to run here on stage and lead us on a proper revolutionary song so that the President ibonakala ukuthi ube khona. Oh, okay, the President, when I say that, I told you that I sing very well, but I don't. So the President is saying no. That's fine. Can I get a roving mic? Selector, give me a roving mic there. Goes about.
Mandla. So the chair says I must sing because if I don't sing, you'll say I'm not happy. So, but my voice is gone because of this addressing. So we're going to try it. I saw the president of the student command. I didn't see he was here. Amandla. Viva EFF, viva. Kula EFF, kula. Auno magubi. Siaya. Siaya. No magubi. Siaya. Siaya. No mabesetubolas. Besishayas. Besibopas. No mabesetubolas. Besishayas. Besibopas. No magubi. Siayas. Siayas. No magubi. Siayas. Siayas. No mabesitubolas. Besishayas. Besibopas. No mabesetubolas. Besishayas. Besibopas. Who left? Who right? Come on, sir. Who left? Kita. Killer man. Kiribata. Samarumo. Rumo. Asicha. Where were you when I'm sick? Where were you when I'm dream? So far skitchy. Etati. So far skitchy. Emoye. Sibram Konto Alliance. Shoot to kill. Yamasa. Shoot to kill. Killer man. Kiss the poor. The farmer. Kiss the poor. The farmer. Brr, pa. Pa. Brr, pa. Pa. Attention. Amanda. Amanda. Thank you very much, fighters. Let's get seated. The provincial secretary is going to come and take us through the declaration of this conference. Let's all get seated. Provincial secretary,
Are you ready, Commissar? Thank you very much.
Amandla. Away, two. Mai, buye. Here, Africa. Let me take this opportunity to welcome the Commander-in-Chief, Secretary General, Convener of Deployees, Commissar Kadi, CCT members, PCT led by Commissar Unati Dame, regions, branches, all ground forces of the Western Cape. My name is Mbulelo Makwala, a born child of George in Ward 21 in Southern Cape. Newly elected Provincial Secretary. Declaration of Economic Freedom Fighters, 3rd Provincial Assembly on consolidating the ground for socialist power, 14 to 15 October 2022. We, the delegates from all across the length and breadth of Western Cape, are gathered in Cape Town High School at the Cape Town City on the 14th to 15 October 2022 to discuss and resolve consolidating the ground for socialist power. We gathered as the economic freedom fighters in Western Cape representing 6 regions, 24 sub-regions, 46 branches, 1,576 voting stations. We come from 365 branches and 905 threshold in good standing to declare that we represent the hopes and aspirations of all communities in the Western Cape. We declare that we will work always to unite, not to divide, strengthen the movement as the people's movement, the last hope of our people. We reiterate our commitment to attain the economic freedom fighters in our lifetime. We constatize that the social ease equilibrating our people in the Western Cape will be erected by the EFF provincial government at the capital of whiteness of South Africa. Inspired by the theme of consolidating the ground for socialist power, we are committed to grow and establish the movement in all the 1,555 voting districts of Western Cape. We engage vigorously in searching debates on 2024 election, organizational media strategy, financing the revolution, organizing and mobilization, political education within our ranks, governance as a government in waiting. We met in Cape Town High School because we wanted to draw an inspiration where our problems in this country started from fearless freedom fighters who historically have been at the forefront of the revolution struggles against apartheid, representation, and exploitation. Cape Town gave birth to land thieves and white monopoly capital in South Africa. We believe that the best contribution we can make in the Western Cape struggle against land thieves and white monopoly capital is for the Western Cape community to hear the clarity call of the economic cardinal pillars for economic emancipation. The EFF in the Western Cape will also pay a particular attention to the marginalized majority, in particular the colored population, the Khoi, and the San. The EFF will participate to fight the economic rights of the previous disadvantaged people in the Western Cape to have access to fishing rights. The EFF in the Western Cape will join in the struggle of farm communities in the whole province who are paid with alcohol for their work in the wine farmers. We are mindful that this provincial assembly rises on the eve of the 10th anniversary of our revolutionary movement. We are deeply aware of the historical obligation that this imposes on us to implement our resolution and ensure that the EFF resonates with the residents of the racist enclaves of
Western Cape. We arrive here with different viewpoints on many issues, and we are returning to our communities and branches with an unbreakable unity of purpose and a single-minded focus to ensuring that the EFF continues to be loyal servant of the people, a dynamic leader of our society and effective movement of transformation. As the People Assembly, we declare total victory in 2024. I close.
Thank you very much, Provincial Secretary. Now, our last item of the day, the Provincial Chairperson to accept and give us a closing address. Oh, President. I need to take a mover for the adoption of the declaration because it is our declaration. Can I get a hand? There's a hand there. Roving Mike. Oh, in the shop steward voice. I see a fight. The voice is gone. Okay, please, very much. Mike. Take a mic fight. Uzamile.
I fully adopt.
Yes, fight. I'll move for this second. The seconding the adoption. Yes.
First of all, welcome to the President of the EFF here in our midst. And my name is Marlon Solomons. I'm from Ward 109 here in Cape Metro, and I second the move to adopt
the declaration
of the Secretary, of the Provincial Secretary.
Thank you very much. Declaration is adopted. Provincial Chairperson. Ozaba.
Izantsike. The chairperson is going to address. You can't sit down. Come and sing. Ayashona malanga. Ayashona malanga. Ayashona malanga.
Ayashona malanga. Ayashona malanga. Ayashona malanga. Ayashona malanga. Ayashona malanga. Ayashona malanga. Ayashona malanga. Ayashona malanga. Ayashona malanga. Shona. Ayashona malanga. Ayashona malanga. Ayi chuchus kokele. Ayi chuchus kokele. Ayi chuchus kokele. Ayi chuchus kokele. Ayashona malanga. 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 Ay chuchus kokele. Ay chuchus kokele. Ay chuchus kokele.
Ay, chuchus kokele. Ay, chuchus kokele. Ay, chuchus kokele. Ay, chuchus kokele. Ay, chuchus kokele. Ay, chuchus kokele. Chuchus kokele. Chio. Yo mama Chio. Akakashi wa makerila. Akakashi wa masochi. Akakashi wa makerila.
Akakashi wa Amandla.
Are you going to fix the mic, sound operator? Amandla. Awethu. Amandla. Awethu. To the Commander-in-Chief and the President of the EFF, Julius Selo Malema, the Secretary General, Commissar Marshal Dlamini, the Central Command Team members present in this assembly, the Provincial Command Team deployees, the newly elected PCT members of the Western Cape, EFF Student Command leadership present here, all delegates from all the regions of the Western Cape, the distinguished guests, I greet you all. Whilst we appreciate the growth of the organization in our province of the Western Cape, we believe that the organization in our province needs to be restructured to be more effective, and in order to respond more effectively and adequately to the community challenges. The organization needs to be revived and re-established in the province of the Western Cape to make maximum possible impact in the upcoming national government elections in 2024. We call for all the factions to be disbanded with immediate effect. And whoever that was involved in such activities must immediately retreat from such. There is no faction that has won this PPA. There is nothing called time and space or any other slogan of a faction. All those must immediately be suffocated to death, as we do not have any space for them. This PPA is an organizational renewal process that is conducted every 4 years. Therefore, the organization has won, and now we must all rally behind the newly elected leadership of the Western Cape. We do not want to see anyone celebrating some non-existent win here. There is no time for any excitement, as we have the heaviest load right in front of us. We need to immediately go to the ground to mobilize, recruit, campaign, and do all the necessary work of the organization. There is only one center of power, and that is the office of the President and the Commander-in-Chief of the EFF. We will champion the maximum implementation of the 7 cardinal pillars of our province without fail. We have one EFF and one president, our CIC, and that's where we take the commands from, and we will not stop. Sizawukuvula ke umbutho maqabane kwaye sivuselele namanye amaqabane athe aqhwalela apha endleleni. The program of Imvuselelo will be championed by us as the leadership of the PCT. On this program, comrades, as we'll be intensifying the campaign of the 1 million membership, sizawundwendwela namaqabane aye atyhafa apha endleleni ngoba kaloku singumbutho omnye. On the process of the contestation, comrades, kuhanja kugilwana kodwa akayithethi ukuba sizintshaba. In appreciation of that, comrades, thina sisisikhokhelo siza kuzithoba kumaqabane for ukuba size sonke sisebenze ngoba kaloku ekugqibeleni asizizinjaba, we are one organization and we are all the children of the President, Julius Selomalem. As we'll be intensifying our efforts in our quest to achieve the targets, we are going to go to all the areas where we have got amaqabana atyhafileyo. We'll be going to Mbekweni in Paarl, Ceres in Pietermaritzburg, Zwelethemba in Worcester, in West Coast in Mamasbury, in Lingelethu in Saldanha, Friedenberg in Thembalethu in George, Gansbaai in Overstrand, Bredasdorp in Cape and all the other areas of our province. Sivuselela amaqabane. This revival campaign will also be focused in all sub-regions of Cape Metro region, where we'll be going zone by zone, ward to ward, VD by VD, street by street, and we'll fetch all our fellow comrades as we appreciate the fact that we'll be unleashing the aggressive campaign against all our enemies of our people. We need all our soldiers on the ground working towards the solid organization in our province of the Western Cape. There have been reactionary elements in the party that threaten the stability of the organization. To these elements, we want to fire the warning shots and we call for the immediate cease in such behaviors. The EFF will not tolerate staff riders and careerists who want to use the party to advance their narrow, selfish agendas and career interests. Infertile disorder, left-wing opportunism has crippled in the party. These elements have found expression in the party due to failure to conduct political education and cadre development. We will implement a permanent political education programs which will be running across the length and breadth of our province of the Western Cape. The disciplinary committee office of the province will be strengthened. Any fighter found insulting the EFF and its leadership on social media will be charged and dealt with harshly, as that is a tendency that is against the ethos of the organization. Fighters, you do not want to be an example of this exercise. We want to warn anyone that always get tempted to insult the leadership of the EFF. Any fighter that does those things on social media from our province will be attended accordingly. We call on fighters to immediately leave unorganizational WhatsApp groups which are used to undermine the organization and insult the EFF leadership on all the WhatsApp groups. The administrators of such WhatsApp groups must immediately decommission all the WhatsApp groups or face the might of the organization. Let us all use this assembly to conduct a self-introspection and cleanse ourselves of these elements. The EFF is a school. We are learning with capacity to self-correct through the internal guidance of the organization. The EFF in the Western Cape will be known for doing frequent programs across all its regions. The first stop of these programs, comrades, will be the Children's Day event in the West Coast region, and the newly elected Secretariat is going to announce that program in due course. Our national leadership has taught us everything. Now is the time to put all their teaching into practice and stand on our own as the province of the Western Cape to run our own programs that will raise the flag of the organization very high. As we will be reclaiming our spot in the Western Cape political arena, we will be running sustained programs in Grabo, in the Tevareskloof local municipality, in Zwelithle, Hermanus, KwaNongqaba in Mossel Bay, Sedgefield and Neckys in Knysna, Mbekweni in Drakenstein, Zwelethemba in Worcester. As we do not see any reason, comrades, for EFF not to be a dominant factor in the politics and of these areas and sub-regions. We support the Votam Tomcha campaign of the EFF Student Command. We call on the leadership of the Student Command in the Western Cape to intensify the amalgamation process of ensuring that all the EFF Student Command membership are also converted to the EFF mother body membership registered with the IEC. So, comrades, that process must be intensified and izingqi zenu mazivakale. The strength of the party remains in its ideological capacity, sound policy positions, and perspectives that are advanced using supralogic. On the international front, and true to our internationalist character, to advance the struggle for the oppressed people of the world, particularly the people of Palestine, who are still under siege under the Israel apartheid state, which is endorsed and supported by the DA, which is incumbent leadership in our province of the Western Cape. In the Western Cape, as we continue to celebrate the death of a great thief who stole minerals in the name of Elizabeth, maybe President, we must unleash a march to a consulate or to these people, to the embassy of the English here in the Western Cape and call for the return of our diamonds. We have seen how white people got excited when there were fires that were burning in Knysna. They went around and roamed on the whole world, mobilizing funds, mobilizing everything in assistance of white people. Kodwa xa kusitsha in our own areas like Masphumelele, xa kusitsha eKhayelitsha, xa kusitsha eGrapho, xa kusitsha eMbekweni, or anywhere across the Western Cape, particularly the black and colored areas, you never see white people mobilizing any funds for our people. The DA-led government in the Western Cape always tell us that there are no funds to give assistance to our people. Kodwa abantu abamhlophe ngokuba betshelwa babenikiwe bona bubuhlanga obo mongameli. It's a core of racism at its best practiced by the DA-led city of Cape Town and across the province of the Western Cape. Healthcare continues to be a nightmare for the most of our people across the province. Collapsed healthcare system in the township exposes our people to vulnerabilities, with the end results being our people succumbing to vulnerabilities and diseases and death. We are told that our people in Thembelihle, in George, are still using green-coded cards for all HIV-positive patients. Mongameli, Upper Western Cape, the MEC, Noma French Bombo, wa-introduce into embi kakhulu yokuba abantu aba-HIV positive abanike amakhadi green as a form of identification. So when they go to clinic to fetch their medication, every morning kufika inesi phana ithi cela ukuba abanamakhadi green mabaphakame bonke. EFF here sithi no, umntu mele uba axele istatus sakhe ngokwenjongo zakhe. Xa ene-consent yokwenza loo nto, ayivumelekanga ukuba unoma French Bombo axele istatus zabanye abantu. It's against the constitution, it's illegal, and we call for noma French Bombo to desist from that because wayesithembisile ngokusasimachile eKraaifontein in writing ukuba uyicimile laa nto, kodwa we are hearing that across the province that our people are still being discriminated. Therefore, that's why our people in the province are still dying of HIV and AIDS, because abakwazi uyothatha medication yabo ngoba kaloku noba ubumncwasile umntu bayamxela amanesi ngokuba u-HIV positive. And then noba umntu ebesekugxileshile usesebona ukuba that one, there is something wrong. So we want the DA-led government to immediately stop that exercise. The healthcare remains but a pipe dream for most of our people trapped in squalor, in informal settlement. They remain in the periphery, unable to access healthcare, having to travel distances and stand in long queues at clinics and hospitals. In that regard, the incoming PCT will ensure that we pressure the EFF councillors in all the municipalities of our province to force the DA-led government to open clinics for 24 hours in line with our elections and the founding manifesto. The Education Department in the Western Cape has an unwritten systematic exclusion policy for children of the poor, especially the children who are coming from underprivileged backgrounds. We know that the children of Mbekweni are not being accepted in schools that are situated in town there, only because they are from poor families, not because they are not bright. Kodwa bathathe odomko babantwana babelungu babafake kwezazikolo abethu noba baclever kangakanani abafakwa kwezazikolo only because of systematic racism. The education challenges are being escalated by unwillingness by those in government in investing in big percentage of our government spending on education. The level of standard of education is downgraded because the curriculum is not done properly and education topics are hardly followed through. Our children will pay in the future as the government continues to use these funds through corruption instead of assisting the schools that are already having poor facilities. Township schools have big numbers, which causes overcrowding with already small classrooms. Therefore, attendance of all would never be realistic, which results to workmen for the year never possible to be done within the time frame. Sufficient budget on township education will enable our children to do after-hour classes, online classes, and attend tutoring sessions. With your guidance, Secretary General Commissar Marshal Dlamini, we think you will guide proper programs that will be directed to the Education Department as it is carrying future hopes of this country and our black nation in particular. We want to agree with the President and the Commander-in-Chief as he stated in his political report to the Second National People's Assembly that we need to adjust our education system to fit into the so-called Fourth Industrial Revolution. There must never be a learner who is not computer literate. We have experienced high levels of crimes in the Western Cape, where our townships are dominating the top 20 murder capitals in the country. There has been a significant spike in the violent murders perpetuated by money extortion due to protection fee syndicate. We have seen people murdered brutally in areas like Friedenberg in the Saldanha municipality, and the police are not arresting the perpetrators. Recently in Khayelitsha, every month we see people being shot and killed in big numbers. At the same time, the police always pretend to be doing something by activating their 72 turnaround strategy, and they never arrest and imprison these murders that are terrorizing our people. We want to caution our own fighters, comrades, to never get involved in any extortion activities by demanding money from people and businesses in return for political protection. Our responsibility as fighters is to protect our communities from criminals and not to contribute to criminality in any way. We still encourage fighters to swell the ranks of community policing forums so that our organization can be part of the solution to the safety that SAPS is failing to provide to our communities. We condemn the murders of SAPS members which we have witnessed in our province. Hence, we also encourage the SAPS to work closely with community structures and organizations and stop prioritizing that useless Sanko that is aligned with the ANC. We have witnessed several gangster-related mass murders in our townships, Khayelitsha, Guguletu, and other informal settlements. We need to expose the ruthless criminals that are doing ATM fraud, and we need to deal decisively with the common criminals that are robbing people their cell phones, particularly the women of Cape Town. Abantu abangamanina basakwazi uphuma bahambe bayothenga evenkileni ngoba barojwa besaphuma ezigeyithini zakomakwabo by ruthless criminals as bawu-president ebesitsho. They've got no appreciation of life. They've got no appreciation of anything. Therefore, we need to call for an immediate stop of all that type of criminality. While we commend the efforts done by police under the stewardship of the current Provincial Commissioner, General Patekile, and his efforts in engaging all sectors of our society, we want to register to him and all his officials that the EFF is sick and tired of the endless killings that are happening in Khayelitsha in almost every second month. We need more action by the police. The Racist Democratic Alliance has demonstrated on numerous occasions its unwillingness to render basic services to our people. The service delivery has completely collapsed in all our areas of our province. Areas like Mitchell's Plain here in Cape Town, Caledon in Overberg, and all the predominant black and colored areas in the metro soon will be shutting down the whole of the province, starting with the Cape Town in protest, in protesting the total collapse of the service delivery. Sizayivala amaqabane siyibambe ime ngci iCape Town cause kaloku ngosidikiwe zidrain eziqaphukileyo ithoyilethe eliqikayo kuzo zonke izitrato zase-Site C, kuzo zonke izitrato zase-Kosovo, kuzo zonke izitrato zase-Philippi, kuzo zonke izitrato zase-Delft, all across Khayelitsha, all across Kraaifontein. Every day we are called for a toilet that is bolstering out of toilet basins apana. Abantu bomba imisele in all the areas zalapha Cape Town because the DA has stopped rendering services to black communities. What other option do they give us? Maybe they need to answer that question. Bafuna sithe sithini maqabane ngoba kaloku at some point kuzawunyanzeleka kunyiwe macala maqabane. Fighters, we should guard and constantly be advocates of gender-based violence. A fighter who commits gender-based violence in any type or form ceases to be a fighter. We witness and continue to witness deaths of women in the hands of us as men. The revolution will be incomplete if a death center is not preoccupied with the liberation of women. We have consistently preoccupied ourselves with this question: how do we advance the struggles of women without being conductors, without women needing our affirmation? We are seeing growth of women participation. Our program of making the EFF a comfortable space for all genders has begun to bear fruits and must be intensified, with the women being respected in our organization. Down with gender-based violence, down. Down with gender-based violence, down. The land expropriation program without compensation must be intensified across the province. Cape Winelands region, as mentioned by the President, particularly the Stellenbosch sub-region, must implement the program, as the land thief called Johan Rupert is demonstrating unwillingness to give back the land. Simachile Pamakaban, we gave them 14 days, they still disrespect us. Maybe President Galamhla Osisepan Stellenbosch, you were supposed to unleash us to go occupy those farms of Stellenbosch. Maybe President, we need to unleash another march to Stellenbosch. And that day, we need to march directly to a farm. Sifike soke phana, sithathe noba ihalf ye-farmer, President. Sithe cala lelethu, umlungu makagcine enye ihalf. Because President, if we don't intensify and show them practicality of what we mean by the return of the land, they will never appreciate it. So maybe next time, Gogu, we must march directly to the farms and occupy them on that day of the march. We wish to call for unity of all taxi operations that are operating in our province. Our brothers must appreciate that their unity is the only weapon that they have against the racist Western Cape-led government. Taxi associations must fight and prioritize their interests, as the Western Cape government is hell-bent on collapsing the only black-dominated business in the transport industry. What is a sensible justification for wanting to shut down a taxi rank in Thembalethu in George and all the other areas across the province in all our poor communities? We'll never allow the systematic victimization of taxi operators in our watch. It stops now and today. The EFF in the Western Cape stands ready to go fetch all impounded taxis that are being taken by government so unfairly. We stand ready to go to Ndabeni siyozithatha. Thina asikho ready for uba sibe sixoxa nondlebe ezikhanyelanga beqhatha babobhutu bethu phana. Thina siyi-EFF, we've got one clear line of command, let's go to Ndabeni to fetch the taxis. All these taxis has got spare keys. So that day, we all carry the spare keys to march pa Ndabeni. And then Helen Zille must come and address ukuba uzikupa what time is that takes pa Ndabeni. In absence of an answer to that, we demolish that thing and take those taxis back up until sizikupe zonke za taxi. If basafuna uxoxa bangeze etafuleni ke ngokodwa itaxi zethu mazibe zingakuthi akukwazi ba kubekho kwangxoxo eqalayo kodwa itaxi zona zisahleli pha Ndabeni, ibhanki zona zisatsala kobhuti bethu. Ibhanka zimi abathi abelungu bethi xa beyithathile itaxi ibhanki yekutsala ebhankini. Bathi abelungu bethi xa bethatha itaxi ibhanki yatsala and yenza sure ukuba imfunqa lonke igazi umuntu omnyama. Athi yenze sure ukuba yonke into ebenayo iphelile zincukudu mos le-DA-led government. The newly elected PCT will be having meetings with all the taxi associations across the province to decide on dates on fetching all impounded taxis. It's now or never, comrades. We direct the public representatives from our province to immediately heed to the organizational directives and purchase buggies, adopt schools, clinics, and informal settlements. Our performance in council leaves much to be desired. Whilst we have registered great victories, our impact could have been felt more effectively if it was not for ineffective deployees that we have trusted with the mandate to advance our struggles in that regard. Some of these deployees have failed dismally to turn council into stages of protest where we advance the struggles of poor communities. Some of these deployees, since arriving in council, have been seized with factionalism, compensating for their laziness. They have used the resources of council not to the service of the people, but used these resources to advance narrow self-interest and factionalism. Going to the next elections, we will guard against such laziness, remove it and deal decisively with such and put the interests of our people in front. In conclusion, comrades, the provincial conference is now over. We call on all fighters to go back and focus to strengthen their branches. All the regional secretaries must liaise with the newly elected provincial secretary to get their branch statistics on the 1 million membership campaign. All elected branch structures must call for BCT meetings and draft their programs of actions. All these programs must talk to 1 million membership campaign. Branches are given only 2 weeks to comply to this directive. Any branch that is not participating in this process will be dissolved, as we do not have enough time before the due date. And fighters who are serious about the organizational work will be given a mandate to coordinate the work of the organization in such areas. Starting from next weekend, we need all fighters and all regions to chase and exceed their targets. Lastly, for purposes of the EFF, regions are demarcated alongside districts or municipalities, or on demarcation decided by CCT. Comrades, we are of the view as this leadership that Central Karoo, which has got 15 branches, and Southern Cape, which has got about 80 branches, they should be incorporated together and be one region. President, this is our view as the leadership of the province, that you must combine the Central Karoo and Southern Cape. We do not see any need for those regions to be separated. We think they should be one region, and then the organization can decide to go by EBs and Donina. The victory of the EFF of the Western Cape is certain. Amandla! Gawethu! Amandla! Gawethu! Phakama, President Malema, phakama! Phakama, President Malema, phakama! Phakama, President Malema, phakama! Phakama, President Malema, phakama! Unity, unity! Unity, Western Cape, ixesha. Western Cape, unity. Unity, Western Cape. Thank you.
Amanda. Thank you very much, President. That our chairperson, that was the last item in the provincial agenda of the People's Assembly. We are only making announcement since we convened this PPA. We are now making announcement, and the leadership here at the stage is released, President. We are only making announcement to the delegates that your dinner is ready. Take whatever is there, get into the taxi, reach home, and phone your provincial and regional leadership